What's up, night owls? And welcome back to another episode of the Nocturnal Mind Hour. I don't know. Recently, I was racking my brain and doing a little research for some interesting story-related topics to discuss on this channel, and I came across a question that I really liked. And that question was, what book would you add to the school curriculum? I get to be the teacher now. And frankly, one immediately came to mind right away. But I figured, why don't I just compile a whole list? So that's what I did. And then I actually took that list and then I narrowed it down a little more. But either way, I always forget something. Oh, I'm blind. But either way, there are just so many good books out there that I think would be very beneficial for young minds to read. Now, when I say young minds, I'm thinking high school. Most of these are too old to assign to an elementary level, but they can always be read to them too, you know. Now, number 1 on my list, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now, we semi-recently did a review of this book on Nocturnal Mind. I'll post a link below for anyone who's interested. And we came to the conclusion that everyone should read this book. I mean, it's a definitely good read for the little woman in your life. But frankly, I think this should be on a high school curriculum, if only to demonstrate to young people that women have minds, they have personalities, they have goals, they have dreams, they squabble, they make mistakes, they learn from them. Women are human. And this is the perfect example of that. I love these little women. They are just so real. And especially at a time in life when hormones are raging and young women are pretty much looked at as potential mates and nothing more. My light went out. I think this is a good option to have on any reading list. So the next book on my list is Pride and Prejudice. And it's pretty much for about the same reasons. It's basically showing the world through a woman's eyes. It shows that women have intellect. And it also shows that not all of them are just searching for a husband. It's not the way it works. Also, because it was written by a woman, it presents us with an example of a man who can accept rejection. And it's really just a nice romance. Again, we've got a couple of really intellectual characters who just have the ability to wittily converse between each other. And it shows through their relationship how something that's solid and true between two people can change them both for the better. Number 3, The Last Unicorne by Peter S. Beagle. Now, I mainly picked this one because it's just a really beautiful story. It's pretty much a modern fantasy, and I just feel this is a very good example of just complete immersion into a realm that's not our own. And frankly, everyone deserves to have that on occasion. The next book on my list is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer? Now, in all honesty, it's been a while since I've read this. And I read it at a point in my life where I still wasn't really thinking analytically when I read. So I can't really speak too much to all the themes and nuances in this book. I'd like to. I am hoping to read it again. But what I will say is that it is beautifully put together. Just the style of his writing is so incredibly unique. And it's totally visual. Like, it's not just about the words on the page, but it's about how these things are perceived. From what I do remember, it says a lot to a message of ambiguity and not always being able to find answers. So definitely pick it up if you have a chance. So the next one is something I read semi-recently for a utopian dystopian fiction class I was taking at college. So this one is Woman on the Edge of Time by Marge Piercy. Now, not only does this book speak to feminist issues, but our main protagonist is also a Mexican-American woman, which gives us a little more diversity, as well as a look into minority issues. And the comparisons between this woman's present, somewhat dystopian reality and the futuristic utopia she finds herself entering is very poignant. And I think that the younger we start to show that contrast between a dystopian universe and a utopia, the better. So the next one on my list is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Now, my desire to have this on the list is similar to Women on the Edge of Time in that our protagonist is more diverse than in typical literature. Not only is he disabled, but it also really speaks for a change in perspective, particularly when one goes from being disabled to being able, and then spoiler alert, going back to being disabled again once you've had that. Next book on the list is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. First, I have to say right off the bat, just incredibly beautiful story overall. And I have been known to say of it in the past, it'll break your heart 15 times, but it'll mend it 14 times So again, we've got a diverse set of protagonists, and it says a lot about dysfunction and grief, but it also really speaks to the pressures that society can put on our shoulders, particularly if we're a minority. And finally, I would recommend Black Beauty by Anna Sewell? I suck at names. So again, and this pretty much is speaking to my main reasons for putting these books on the list. You've got a diverse perspective. In this book, you're seeing the world through another's eyes, in a way that you typically don't see the world. And frankly, I just think this book presents a very poignant look into cruelty versus kindness, especially when that cruelty comes at the hands of someone who has power over you. So that's my list of books that I would personally add to a school curriculum, mainly for their diverse characters, differing perspectives, as well as the messages they represent. Granted, this is just my personal opinion, something that I thought would be fun to talk about, but I feel these books are important, especially for young people to be introduced to, if they haven't been already. So Night Owls, what books would you add to a school curriculum? Let's chat. Thanks again for joining us today, and remember to check out nocturnalmind.net, and we'll see you in the next video.